Good evening and welcome to the news tonight, your one stop for the day's top stories. Here are the headlines of this hour. Rajya Sabha is adjourned till Wednesday. Opposition Congress persists with protests over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's alleged remarks against former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Vijay Rupani to continue as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, Nitin Patel to stay Deputy Chief Minister. India and China hold high-level talks on the border issue. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and China's State Councillor Yang Jiechi hold the first interaction on the subject since the Doklam standoff. UN decisively rejects a US decision. India is among the 128 countries that opposes US. Trump administration says vote will have no effect on its plan to move the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Rajya Sabha was adjourned on Friday till the 27th of December after Congress members stalled proceedings of the House. The party stressed that the impasse over the alleged remarks by the Prime Minister against his predecessor Manmohan Singh should be resolved first.
Proceedings in the upper house were paralysed for the third day in a row on Friday. Leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad said the panel formed at the chairman's behest must reach an accord first to break the deadlock. Deputy Leader of Congress Anand Sharma also insisted that the House should be adjourned without any disruption.
आपने एक कमेटी बनाई थी इस गतिरोध को खत्म करने के लिए, उसकी एक ही मीटिंग हुई है और बातचीत चल रही है। आज इस वीक का आखिरी दिन है और ज़्यादा बिजनेस भी नहीं है। मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगा जब तक आज ये गतिरोध ख़त्म नहीं होता है हाउस को स्थगित किया जाए और मीटिंग जब होगी उस गतिरोध को ख़त्म करें, शाम तक ख़त्म कर दें, तो फिर आगे हम भी चाहते हैं कि बहुत से ज़्यादा बिल पास हो जाएं, होश चले।
नहीं, मंत्री जी ने जो बोला, हम नहीं चाहते कि सदन में गतिरोध के बाद एडजर्नमेंट हो, इसीलिए एलओपी ने बोला है जब बातचीत हो रही है इस गतिरोध का समाधान निकालना आवश्यक है। विपक्ष चाहता है कि सदन में चर्चा हो, सदन में बिल पास हो, इसलिए समाधान निकल जाएगा। पर अगर एडजर्नमेंट के लिए जब तक आहत है हमारे पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री, पूर्व राष्ट्रपति पर ये बात हमने उठाई, उसका समाधान हम निकाल दें।
Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Vijay Goyal suggested that the House should continue to function while a solution is found.
मेरा इसलिए ये कहना है कि आज आपके साथ बैठकर बात हो जाएगी, इसलिए इस सदन के अंदर बाकी लोगों को अपने विषय को उठाने दीजिए। और मैं समझता हूँ मामला ऐसा नहीं है जिसके अंदर की उसका हल नहीं निकाला जा सकता हो।
Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu sought to continue with zero-hour proceedings, but Congress members refused to relent.
हाउस नहीं चले, ये आपका मांग है। नहीं, कितने बजे हो तो मैं तय करूंगा ना।
2 बजे तक कर ले।
ये हर एक व्यक्ति बोल रहे भाई, नेता है, उपनेता है, दोनों केपेबल है। आप लोग बैठ जाइए। Don't doubt your capacity of your leader and deputy leader. Both of them are very experienced parliamentarians. I have confidence in them. They have confidence in me. You have confidence in them. Please sit down.
Rajya Sabha will now meet on the 27th of December after the weekend and the Christmas break.
I am adjourning the House to meet again on Wednesday, 27th December 2017.
Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu intervened and suggested that both sides resolve the deadlock amicably through internal discussions. In fact, on Tuesday, the Rajya Sabha passed 2 crucial bills, but thereafter, the issue returned to reverberate in the House again. It remains to be seen how a truce is brokered between the two sides so that the winter session becomes a productive one. Reporting from Parliament House with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu on Friday stepped up efforts to end the deadlock between the government and the Congress over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's remarks against his predecessor. According to sources in Parliament, Chairman Naidu met the Leader of Opposition in the Rajya Sabha, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Congress Deputy Leader in the House, Anand Sharma, and Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs, Vijay Goyal, in his chamber. He also met them separately. Chairman Naidu is understood to have emphasized that the House needs to resume normal functioning from Wednesday. He also suggested that Leader of the House Arun Jaitley and Ghulam Nabi Azad could further discuss and resolve the stalemate in the House. Even outside Parliament, the Vice President expressed displeasure about frequent adjournments over the ongoing session. Speaking at the foundation stone-laying ceremony of the International Exhibition cum Convention Centre and the Integrated Transit Corridor Development Project at Pragati Maidan in the national capital, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu said that the House being quote-unquote on and off these days is not good for the country.
Parliament is in session. Whether the House will be on or off, that we don't know. That will be known after some time. Because आजकल on and off हो रहे, which is not a good thing for the country.
At the event, the Vice President also stressed that development and good governance should be the focus of the government and the public sector. He added that constant endeavour is to make India the global economic leader by adopting a holistic approach towards inclusive economic growth. He also said that progress must be made to achieve double-digit economic growth at the earliest.
The economy of the world is slowed down. Now, of course, is picking up. Even our powerful neighbor also has gone a little negative. The only economy which is moving forward, that's India. Thanks to the reforms and thanks to the leadership of the country as well as the contribution made by people in various sectors. So what is required is that we must have a holistic approach for an inclusive growth.
Rajya Sabha MPs on Friday sought the early implementation of recommendations of a parliamentary committee on their wages and allowances. Backing the demand, Naresh Agarwal of the Samajwadi Party said that given that the 7th Pay Commission report has been implemented, the report on the salaries and wages of members of parliament should also be decided.
Samajwadi Party MP Naresh Agarwal raised the issue of salary hike of MPs in the Rajya Sabha on Friday. Making a point of order, Agarwal cited Article 106 of the Constitution and the implementation of the 7th Pay Commission for central government employees to pitch for a similar pay hike for lawmakers. He also sought the government's response on the issue.
हमारी कमेटी बनी, लोकसभा के स्पीकर ने कमेटी बनाई, बाबा योगी आदित्यनाथ जी उस कमेटी के चेयरमैन थे, उस कमेटी ने रिपोर्ट दी, उन्होंने कहा एमपी की सैलरी बढ़ना चाहिए, ये सजेशन आया कि एमपी की सैलरी रोज ना बढ़ाई जाए, 7th पे कमीशन के साथ जोड़ दी जाए और चीफ कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी से ₹1 ज्यादा कर.
Chairman Venkaiah Naidu also admitted the importance of the issue and assured the House that he will apprise the government about it.
ये विषय इम्पोर्टेंट विषय है, मैं भी इसको स्वीकार करता हूँ, कारण क्या है, मैं पार्लियामेंट्री अफेयर्स मिनिस्टर के नाते मैंने भी खुद इस विषय के बारे में थोड़ा अध्ययन किया है और मैं एक बार आपका जो भावना है वो मैं हमारा नेता सदन जो वित्त मंत्री भी है उनका ध्यान में लाएंगे और आगे जब उचित मौका आएगा उसके बारे में डिस्कशन भी करेंगे.
The Joint Committee on Salaries and Allowances of Members of Parliament, headed by former BJP MP Yogi Adityanath, sought doubling of salaries of MPs from the existing 50,000 rupees per month, increasing the pension of former MPs from 20,000 rupees to 35,000 rupees, and doubling the daily allowance of members when Parliament is in session from 2,000 to 4,000 rupees. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Lok Sabha on Friday discussed the damage caused by Cyclone Iki. Opposition MPs demanded that the disaster be declared a national calamity. During question hour in Lok Sabha, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley asserted that the government is committed to development in both rural and urban areas.
During question hour, Union Minister for Environment and Forests Dr. Harshvardhan stated in the Lok Sabha that the number of tigers has increased in the country.
The population of tigers is growing in the country, and in almost every tiger reserve, the efforts of the Tiger Conservation Authority are being appreciated at all the international forums.
Replying to a question, Minister of State for Health Anupriya Patel told the House that the budget for the National Health Mission has been raised by 15% this year.
With respect to NHM, there has been an increase of 15.5% over the last year. Then, sir, the new National Health Policy 2017 has come, wherein we have a commitment that we are going to raise our spending on the healthcare sector as a percentage of GDP from the current 1.13% to 2.5% by the year 2025.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley told the House that the government is committed to the development of infrastructure in both rural and urban areas.
जहां तक ग्रामीण क्षेत्र है उसके संबंध में जो सरकारी योजनाएं जो हैं और जिसके लिए साधन दिए जा रहे हैं, गांव को सड़क से जोड़ना, गांव के अंदर सैनिटेशन का प्रावधान करना, गांव के अंदर पक्के मकानों का प्रयोग की रचना करना और उसके अलावा हर गांव में बिजली पहुंचना.
The Lok Sabha also discussed the damage caused by Cyclone Iki in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Lakshadweep. Home Minister Rajnath Singh said 92 people had died while 490 people are still missing.
Tamil Nadu में 18 डेथ्स हुई हैं और केरल में 74 डेथ्स की रिपोर्ट प्राप्त हुई है. तमिलनाडु के 275 फिशरमैन और केरल के 215 फिशरमैन अब भी लापता हैं, यह जानकारी प्राप्त हुई है.
The discussion on Cyclone Iki started under Rule 192 at 12 noon. Many MPs demanded that the cyclone should be declared as a national calamity. Congress and left members, especially from Kerala, which bore the brunt, sought a probe into the alleged mismanagement, lack of coordination and other aspects of the disaster.
We could have taken effective precautions and early warning system. In this regard, I would like to point out some mistake has been done by the officers.
When a conversion takes place relating to a crop loan, when it is affected by calamity, by natural calamity, it is necessary that the crop loan mechanism also should extend to the mid-term loan so that the farmers will not be at a loss.
People went out literally until such time as the cyclone hit, and to my mind there is something to be looked at in how we allowed this to happen. How could human lives, precious human lives, have been lost because we couldn't get a simple warning right?
The controversy over Prime Minister Modi's remarks against former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also figured in the Lok Sabha. A few minutes after the 0 hour started at noon, protesting Congress members walked out of the House demanding an apology from the Prime Minister. With inputs from Ravindra Shoran and Panchanan Mishra, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Vijay Rupani will continue as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, with Nitin Patel staying on as the Deputy Chief Minister. The decision was taken at a meeting of the newly elected BJP MLAs in the state with its central observers Arun Jaitley and Saroj Pandey. BJP National General Secretary Bhupendra Yadav was also seen with Jaitley and Pandey.
सर्वसम्मति के साथ श्री विजय भाई रूपानी को नेता चुना गया और श्री नितिन भाई पटेल को उपनेता चुना गया. बैठक में पार्टी के सभी नवनिर्वाचित विधानसभा के सदस्य शामिल थे और सर्वसम्मति के साथ नेता का चयन हुआ.
Rupani had resigned along with his Council of Ministers on Thursday, a day after Governor O.P. Kohli dissolved the Legislative Assembly following the recently concluded polls, paving the way for the formation of a new government. In the results declared on Monday, BJP won 99 seats in the 182-member Assembly, thus retaining power in the state.
ગુજરાતની પ્રજાની સેવા કરવા માટે અમે કટિબદ્ધ છીએ. ગુજરાતની જનતાએ 49.1% મત આપી અને ભારતીય જનતા પક્ષને વિજય અપાવ્યો છે. ગઈ વખતની અમારી સરકાર, એના પહેલા પણ માનનીય આનંદીબેનની સરકાર અને માનનીય નરેન્દ્રભાઈ મોદીની 12-13 વર્ષ સુધી ચાલેલી સરકારે ગુજરાતના વિકાસનો જે મજબૂત પાયો નાખ્યો છે.
The Congress Working Committee met on Friday, the first meeting chaired by newly elected Congress President Rahul Gandhi. Here are the details of that. The Congress's highest decision-making body, the Congress Working Committee, met in the national capital on Friday. This was the first meeting of the committee since Rahul Gandhi took party president. His predecessor, Sonia Gandhi, was also present at the meeting, along with former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and senior party leaders like Motilal Vora, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Janardhan Dwivedi and Mallikarjun Kharge.
2G के बारे में सब जानते हैं, सच्चाई आपके सामने आ गई है.
Gandhi also slammed the rival BJP over several issues and alleged that the whole architecture of BJP was based on lies.
एक के बाद एक झूठ, नोटबंदी झूठ, गब्बर सिंह टैक्स झूठ, सच्चाई क्या है?
The Gandhi scion has in the past chaired several CWC meetings in the absence of his mother Sonia Gandhi. He was elected unopposed as Congress president on 11 December and assumed the party's reins on the 16th. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. A day after all the accused in the 2G spectrum case were acquitted, the Bombay High Court paved the way for another acquittal of former Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan in the Adarsh Housing Society case. The court rejected the Maharashtra governor's sanction to prosecute the Congress leader. Chavan had to step down as Maharashtra Chief Minister on account of his alleged involvement in the scam.
Relief for former Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan. The Bombay High Court on Friday set aside the Maharashtra governor's order granting sanction to the CBI to prosecute the senior Congress leader in the Adarsh housing scam.
The material that the sanctioning authority considered was not material in the eyes of law. It was not material collected in the course of investigation. It is not material that can be converted into evidence in the course of the trial. So whilst the governor certainly has the jurisdiction to review an earlier decision, it must be only on the basis of fresh material collected in the course of investigation.
Hearing Ashok Chavan's petition, a two-judge High Court bench ruled that the 2016 sanction to the CBI could not be sustained since it was not based on any fresh material. In its order, the bench said the CBI failed to present any fresh material capable of being converted into evidence that can be substantiated at the time of trial. Therefore, in the absence of fresh material, the sanction cannot be sustained and is quashed and set aside. Ashok Chavan welcomed the verdict, stating that truth has ultimately prevailed.
मैं इससे निश्चित तौर पर सैटिस्फाइड हूँ, समाधानी हूँ इसमें, इसलिए कि इसमें बहुत बड़ी राहत निश्चित तौर पर मिली है. The truth has ultimately prevailed और जो सच है वो सामने आया है.
Other Congress leaders also claimed that like 2G spectrum case, the Adarsh issue was also never a scam.
Justice has been done and justice will always be done. Truth will prevail. Ashok Chavan was absolutely innocent in the matter, and to drag him into this controversy was a plan that was planned by some political entities. The reality is the court has seen through the truth and has stopped his prosecution.
Ashok Chavan is among the 15 accused in the Adarsh housing scam, which include retired and serving defence personnel, bureaucrats and politicians. The CBI accused Chavan of approving additional floor space index for the Adarsh society in posh South Mumbai and of accepting 2 flats for his relatives in return when he was the Chief Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called on literary writers to write on social issues to foster harmony, love and social equality in the society. He said this during a book release. He also insisted on giving impetus to the talented youth.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu released the first copy of poetry collection Samipya, authored by retired IAS officer Prem Narayan. On the occasion, the Vice President said that every human being must always be forward-thinking and diligent. Only then the real goal and real development will be realized. He said that it is the duty of the government and society to encourage talented youth.
There is a talent in everybody. Even the cook also has a talent, a washerman has a talent, weaver has a talent, or a goldsmith has a talent, or a fisherman has a talent. There is talent, abundant talent. उस टैलेंट को पहचान के उनको थोड़ा प्रोत्साहन करके आगे बढ़ाना ये सरकार का और समाज का कर्तव्य होता है.
Poet and author of the book, Prem Narayan, was also present on the occasion. He said that most of the poems in his book are related to human and societal relationships. He also narrated a few poems from the book.
सामीप्य सिखाता नवचिंतन, अद्भुत अद्भुत से स्पंदन, अभिमान त्याग, बस बन विनम्र, कैसे करते हैं अभिनंदन. तेरी जीवन शैली बदले, उन्माद हटे, सौहार्द जगे। तेरी जीवन शैली बदले, उन्माद हटे, सौहार्द जगे, पल पल में तू भावुक हो जा, अपनों का ही संसार लगे।
The Samipya poetry collection has been published by Rajpath Publications. Rajya Sabha Secretary General Desh Deepak Verma was also present on the occasion. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here's a look at what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. The Rajasthan government has decided to provide reservation to 5 castes within the 50% legal limit in the state. These include the Gurjar, Banjara, Labana, Gadalia and the Gadaria communities. Reservation to these communities will be provided under the most backward category. A notification will be issued after the governor's approval. The Delhi High Court has granted 2 weeks parole to former Haryana Chief Minister Om Prakash Chautala to attend to his ailing wife. The court restrained the former Chief Minister from involving any other activity and also stopped him from moving out of Sirsa. Chautala is serving a 10-year jail term in a teacher's recruitment scam case. The Enforcement Directorate has arrested 2 persons in the Bikaner land scam case. The duo were arrested under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The case is related to the purchase of 275 bighas in the Kolayat area of Bikaner. The agency had also attached assets worth 1.18 crore rupees of government officials and others in connection with the case. India and China have decided to increase the frequency of talks on issues of critical importance. In a meeting between Indian and Chinese special representatives Ajit Doval and Yang Jiechi, both sides decided to step up efforts to evolve consensus on various issues. Both sides met in Delhi on Friday to discuss contentious issues like the border dispute and differences on terrorism and the Belt and Road Initiative, especially the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The pollution in Brahmaputra River was also raised at the meeting. This was the 20th round of special representatives level talks between the 2 countries. Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar and Chinese Ambassador to India Liu Zhaohui were also present at the meeting, which was in fact the first such meeting after the Doklam standoff that continued for 73 days and ended on the 28th of August after mutual diplomatic consultation. Last week, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi held talks with External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj on the sidelines of the RIC meeting held in Delhi. The next round of special representative level talks will take place in China in 2018. Yang Jiechi later had a courtesy meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well. The United Nations General Assembly voted in favor of a resolution demanding that the United States rescind its December 6th declaration on Jerusalem, while Palestine called the vote a victory and thanked the UN member states for rejecting Trump's unilateral move. Israel condemned the vote and thanked Trump for his stance on Jerusalem. Here are the details.
The United Nations voted to reject US President Donald Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Maintaining consistency on its policy on Palestine, India voted with 127 other countries in favor of the UNGA resolution. 9 voted in favor of the US decision, while 35 nations abstained from the vote. The text of the resolution said that any decision regarding the status of the city are null and void and must be cancelled.
The result of the vote is as follows. In favor, 128. Against, 9. Abstentions, 35. Draft Resolution A/E/10/L22 is adopted.
The vote came after US Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, issued a direct threat saying that US will think twice before funding the world body if it voted to reject Trump's decision. Haley said that the US will put up its embassy in Jerusalem regardless of the vote.
America will put our embassy in Jerusalem. That is what the American people want us to do. And it is the right thing to do. No vote in the United Nations will make any difference on that. But this vote will make a difference on how Americans look at the UN and on how we look at countries who disrespect us in the UN. And this vote will be remembered.
This rare emergency special session was held by the 193-member UN General Assembly at the request of Arab and Muslim states. Meanwhile, Palestinian leaders called the vote a victory for Palestine and thanked the UN member states that rejected Trump's unilateral move despite all the pressure exerted on them. Many world leaders also rejected United States' stand on Jerusalem and called it a violation of international law. Jordanians celebrated the UNGA's decision.
تجاه الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية بل بسبب قرارها الذي يعد اعتداء على حق الشعب الفلسطيني الأصيل والطبيعي في مدينة القدس الشريف وعلى الأمة العربية وعلى جميع.
Before this meeting, a UN member state threatened all the other members. We were all asked to vote no or face the consequences. Some are even threatened with the development aid cut. Such an attitude is unacceptable.
Como capital del Estado de Israel, lo que constituye una grave violación de las resoluciones de Naciones Unidas sobre el tema y del derecho internacional.
Israel, however, rejected the UN vote and thanked Trump for his stance on Jerusalem.
Israel completely rejects this preposterous resolution. Jerusalem is our capital, always was, always will be. But I do appreciate the fact that a growing number of countries refuse to participate in this theater of the absurd. So I appreciate that, and especially I want to again express our thanks to President Trump and Ambassador Haley for their stalwart defense of Israel and their stalwart defense of the truth.
In addition to recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, Trump announced on December 6th that US would move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. No country currently has its embassy in the city. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Catalonia's ousted leader Carles Puigdemont has called for new talks with Spain after separatist parties won a slim majority in a regional election. Puigdemont said that he wanted the negotiations in Brussels, where he is living in self-imposed exile, or another EU country. Appearing to reject the idea, Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy of Spain said that he would hold talks with the head of the new Catalan government, but that leader would have to take up their post in Catalonia itself. The winner of the election was the Citizens Party, which wants Catalonia to remain a semi-autonomous part of Spain. The Citizens Party is now the region's biggest party. Rajoy's Conservative Popular Party recorded its worst ever result in Thursday's vote. Rajoy has also ruled out calling a national election following the defeat.
I en tot cas, crec que ve el temps de la recepta de la política. La recepta Rajoy ha fracassat. La recepta Rajoy no ha fet res més que demostrar que a més mobilització dels catalans, més vots a favor de la independència. Hem superat el rècord fins i tot de l'1 d'octubre.
That's all we get back in on the news tonight. Thank you for joining us.